Hello and welcome. Special presentation from In the Money Media and Equibase. This is our Race Lens sponsored top 5 angles of the Del Mar meet. Doing something a little bit different this year, letting a couple of weeks of the meet progress before diving in. I think it makes sense. These summer meets sometimes, these first couple of weeks, they tend to be a little bit changeable from year to year. A few races go by, horses start to come running back. Little bit more patterns that we can focus in on. And to do that here with me, we bring in our Race Lens power user, Matt Vagvolgyi. Matt, how things been going betting out at Del Mar this summer?
Things have been good. I'd say it's probably the best summer in probably 3 years out there, but we're very early innings, so it can certainly change quickly. No, but it's been good. It's been good finding the right spots, keying in on the right horses, and kind of building bets from there. So no, it's been a good start to the year so far.
That's great. I assume Race Lens has been part of that as opposed to just doing handicapping fundamentals. I know you're somebody who famously does both.
Yeah, I think you have to do both. We talked about that. I mean, this isn't the answers to the test, but this gives you an idea of maybe where to zero in on, or at least take a second look at to see if what I'm seeing that angle, does that work in this race? There's an example I'll show you today where it has worked, and it was a key in multi-leg bets that I made at Del Mar that paid pretty nicely, but it was more of the build out. It got me to the horse. Okay, I can see this horse getting in good position, but like give me the other components of the race, give me other horses, and turns out where other horses were positioned, it really pushed me to key this horse out. So we'll walk through that, but that's the kind of the idea of drawing attention. It builds the data automatically, so I don't have to do anything. So that's my first scan of a race, just to go through and see which ones pop out, and see which ones fit, and then kind of go from there. But no, it certainly has helped so far this year.
Tough question I haven't prepped you for, but I'm curious the answer. Please answer it fully honestly, even if it doesn't fit the program. I will say Del Mar, more than some meets, has more horses. Sometimes when I go back and look through the fundamentals of handicapping, I can't have even after the race. You know what I mean? Those kind of horses that really blow up in pace sequences. Can Race Lens sometimes point you to those, at least for inclusion in a spread race type of deal?
Yeah, they certainly can. I'll say the one day that I didn't play Del Mar, I mean, I could not come up with probably 80% of the horses that won that day. But that's going to happen. But no, there definitely is situations, especially different pace angles and things like that. You can find some of those longer price horses there, but you're also going to have chaos. I try to explain that to people. You can have all the best data in the world, the best modeling in the world. Some days you're just going to suck. It's just not going to work, right? And you're just going to have horses that are going to show up and run. And you're going to have impossible winners like that one. I can't remember. Was it Friday night? I can't remember what it was, Wednesday or something, where it's just absurd horse after absurd horse. So it's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, there certainly are times, whether it's the angles or whether it's the true odds algorithm comes up with some long shot plays in there as well. So no, it certainly can help.
We're going to get to these top 5 angles. Actually, you were tasked with top 5. You're going to give us 6. We love the bonus angle around here. That's a good thing. But before we do that, just want to mention that Race Lens is our sponsor. This is a great handicapping tool. You can use it for the type of databasing that Matt is doing and sharing with us today. It's also a tool you can use for your fundamental handicapping. Lots of different tools within this program. We're going to talk about some of them going forward. If you want to learn more, though, best way to do that is to go to Equibase.com, navigate over to the Race Lens tab. And in addition to learning about the tool, you can learn about some of the promotions. One that I know our listeners and viewers have been very excited about is the Race Lens Race to the NHC. If you get a package of a certain type, you have, not just a single card, but like a subscription package. You have an opportunity to play in these contests exclusively for Race Lens subscribers. Really great way to win your way into the NHC. You can read all about it over there. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you go to Equibase.com, navigate over to Race Lens, you can read about the Race to the NHC promo, and you can learn much more about the product. Let's pull in the first angles that we're going to talk about here. One is as old as the racetrack itself, seemingly, about the effect of pace making the race. You've got 2 angles related to this. Matt, I'll let you talk through them.
Yeah, and like you said, we're doing something a little bit different of looking at kind of since the meet has started, which I think is interesting. So all these angles are kind of looking at what has been working so far. And clearly what's been working so far, when you're looking at certain styles of pace, from a late pace perspective, from an early pace perspective, a couple of them really jumped out at me. And I wanted to point out something you may not expect, right? Turf sprints, those 5 furlong turf sprints are very difficult. But again, I'm seeing very clearly late pace being a huge factor. Now, again, what you're going to see is not huge samples here, but that's okay. Right. So looking at this early on, I mean, especially when you look at turf sprints, that best late pace figure, very nice 33% win. Over half of them are in the money. You're getting good prices too. And that's showing up in that plus 42% ROI with just that 33% win percentage. So you're getting prices, looking more for forward of horses that are forward, maybe taking a look at some horses coming from off of it. But so far with that late pay, that Equibase late pace figure is certainly showing up extremely well in turf sprints. And then looking at it from a different perspective, when you look at dirt routes, again, that who's on the lead is usually telling the story here. And again, 16 starts, but 38% winners, just under 60% of them are in the money, and a very healthy positive 51% ROI. So again, the combination of the two, looking at it from a perspective of, maybe some, especially the turf sprints, you may not expect coming off for the pace. Dirt route, you can kind of look at it either way. But I'm looking at the relationship of the win percentage and looking at the ROI. You're getting paid. This hasn't been picked up yet by the market, and you're getting paid on both sides of these angles.
That dirt route number, that's like the old Del Mar. That reminds me of 20 years back. You'd see it play like that, and I've seen it be speedy, but I'm surprised it's that tilted towards speed in the dirt routes. That seems very actionable. The turf sprint best LP, I mean, that's a big surprise to me because I'm so focused on the horses who are going to be up in the vanguard in these turf sprints. Is the best LP horse almost inevitably a closer, one that comes from far back, or will you sometimes, with the Race Lens algorithm, see them maybe positioned in the top half of the field, and you can give those extra credit? Like, how do you intersect that best LP doing so well in the turf sprints with the way that you look at a race turf sprint traditionally?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, these horses are forward, right? Again, especially going that 5 furlong sprint. But again, you could build off this, right? So again, take this. I'll just give you my process. I look at it from a late pace perspective. Then I'll say, okay, give me horses that have the best early pace and the best late pace. How are those horses doing? Those horses are doing extremely well, right? Because they're forwardly placed. But the horses, the dead speed, the horses that are on the lead are not doing well in these turf sprints. And I think it has to do maybe a little bit with post position, and we'll walk through that in a little bit. But I use it kind of as a foundation where I start to build off of it. Can I combine other things around it to kind of cultivate this a little bit more? But again, what I've seen is that there really haven't been many plotters or horses that are coming from the clouds that are winning this.
Yes,
they're up. They're not necessarily dueling for that pace lead, but they're certainly close to the pace. But that extra kick late is proven to be where you want to be on these turf sprints.
Couple of great pace angles to kick us off. Let's move on to those pace post positions, that Matt was alluding to. What are you looking at in terms of these next two angles?
If you want to go forward to the next the next slide there. But again, looking at it from a post position perspective, again, just kind of giving you this in general, is again looking at it. Are there any spots or any positions from a post that are at least making you look twice at a horse, right? Is what I'll say. And a couple I've given you here is, when you look at these you're going specifically 1 mile on the turf, a little bit arbitrary post position 1 to 3. We've done these a lot where that's kind of that. I kind of break them down in sections, but that you're getting the inside of the track. Is that helping position? Is that getting horses where they need to be? Again, just 9 starts so far, but 44% win. 88% of them are hitting the board with a positive 74% ROI. So you're still getting paid for these horses to win. Getting position on the turf at Del Mar, that's something that has also carried forward from several years. It continues this year of just getting that inside position, saving ground, making that big run late, has certainly been big. So that's one that's jumped off quite a bit of that inside position going 1 mile. Now, what I find interesting, again, what we talked about, is kind of falls into what I just said before about those turf sprints, drawing the rail. It's just like a jailbreak to get that lead. And I think it's forcing the hand of that rail horse, has no other choice other than to go. seems, very 101 handicapping, but is playing out to be the case. I go back and look at the charts, which you can do when you build these angles. You click on details and you click on whatever race you want. It'll give you the full Equibase chart. But again, 18 starts, none of them are winners. 33% of them are hitting the board, but still 0 for 18 on the rail is got to at least give you an inkling of what's happening early on in that race. And a lot of these for the lead.
Yeah, that's so surprising. And it is really interesting combined with the LP stat we looked at earlier. I mean, there's got to be some randomness and unluckiness in there, I would think. Because, I mean, and is that something, I know when you look at this, you'll typically look at other views too. If you go back 3 years, 5 years, do you still see any disadvantage to the turf sprint? Or do you think this could be something related to how the track is playing right now?
It ebbs and flows. Because again, if you get that really talented speed horse on the rail and just goes, it just could be game over.
It could be an advantage, right? I mean, in theory,
yeah.
If you're the best speed and you have that post to your advantage.
But again, why I think it plays to each other and why I kind of brought these two up, kind of, both sides of the late pace figure versus drawing the rail, is that these horses are going no matter what, right? And I think it's dragging the inside. There's a big scramble on for these leads. And I think it's helping horses that are drawn to the outside or can set off that pace a little, be up on it, not be too far back, but set off that pace and pick them up late. That's where I think you're getting both of these angles starting to show up. Horses that can run late are sitting off that pace. Horses that are drawn to the inside are going because they really don't have much of a choice. But again, it's not something that's consistent over the 5 years. It does ebb and flow. You get those lone speeds from the inside. They might be too tough to handle.
What it suggests to me is I'm going to look to be against the horse on the rail if they're the second or third best speed. Especially that feels like it would be disadvantageous. If the horse I like is the best speed in the rail, I'm going to say there's going to be some noise in with that signal, and I'm going to stick with my horse. But it is very interesting to think that the rails know sometimes you'll see the rail be an automatic advantage to the point where the second or third best speed can end up being the best speed in the actual race. That's not how it's playing out at Del Mar. Just one note in general on the small sample sizes. Someone with a statistics degree is probably screaming at the screen right now, why are we looking at 9 and 18 start samples? Well, the problem is like when the sample gets too big, my belief is I still want to know about it, but it's probably baked into the cake. Whereas when you're looking at these smaller samples, there's a chance you could find an actionable trend where you actually can then get ahead of the market for a little while. Nature markets, they're going to catch up and get this stuff. But it's now when these samples are small, yes, sometimes you're going to be chasing your tail, but enough you're going to be finding something actionable where it's not priced in and you can get a real edge. And to me, that's what it's all about. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, what I'm hoping for here is that the inside continues to struggle. And there's a horse I really like that floats up, because it does become a large sample and the public is starting to pay attention to it. It's coming up on handicapping shows where they tell you, large samples is where it comes to the forefront. And you're 100% right. It's baked into the price. It's very obvious for a novice handicapper to pick up the racing form and to see a stat that's got 180 starts and seeing something like that, then everyone knows about that. To me, I'm trying to see if there's any trends early on that I can pick up on where I'm still going to get paid and the market hasn't picked up on it. That's the value of some of these short samples. Again, I'm not blindly betting all of these, but they're certainly helpful with a short sample rather than that large sample where everyone seems to glob onto it and you're just not going to get the price.
It reminds me also of a great line in Moneyball where Lewis was basically talking about the Billy Beane methodology in general. It's very similar, I think, for the work you do, Matt. This isn't magic. Everything we talk about here isn't going to magically produce a winner every time or every other time or even a preponderance of the time. The idea is you're just trying to tilt. It's like a card counter in a casino. That was the line that Lewis used about Beane. You're just trying to turn the percentages a little bit in your advantage. And then when you make enough bets, it'll redound to your to the benefit of your bankroll in our case. So just want to point that out to folks as well. All right, let's look at angle 5 and 6, these key early angles from Del Mar. And one, I think we've talked about them on every California Raceland show.
I had to put it in, Pete. I had to put it in.
And this is a little bit different than the way we usually talk about our man Umberto.
Yeah, and again, I laugh because it's like I got to find a way to work reasonably into here. But I actually think, again, all jokes aside, I think it actually is something that you should talk about here. Um, Being a rider where no one really, not want to say no one, but a lot of folks in North America didn't really know who he was when he came here, made a massive impact. I'm still obviously a huge fan, minus last weekend at Saratoga, but we'll leave that aside. But looking at this from Del Mar and his early start, and we've talked about this a lot too, Pete, I do look at recency of jockeys in terms of their win percentage, in terms of streaks, so to speak, kind of gives me an idea of their mental state, maybe. And looking at it from here, again, I specifically on that 1 mile, that's Reese-Blue's bread and butter. That's where he does extremely well, saving every inch of ground and make that one big run. And the mile seems to be that distance. Has not done well again. 11 starts. Again, you can forgive some of that. But here's the thing. It kind of reminds me of, I can't remember what year it was, a few years back when Chad Brown had the absolute worst start to a Saratoga. It was everywhere. He's done. He's finished. He's going to be nowhere. I don't know if he won the training title, but he was damn close that year by the time he came back in August. And this is kind of the way that I look at it here. It's that, yeah, he's not, and look at that, 8 out of 11 are 5-1 or less. So he's being bet, right? So the public is gravitating towards him. And I want to say at least 4 of those were favorites that were losers here. So again, he hasn't been good on the win end, but he's also been hitting the board more than half the time. Yes, that minus 65% ROI is not great. My hope is maybe folks start to drift away. That automatic, I'm going to include Umberto in my bets goes away, and that price starts to come back a little bit. That's when I'm going to look to play him. I think he's a talented rider. Again, he makes crazy decisions sometimes, but again, when he's on. So this is kind of a weird stat, Pete. This is one I'm looking at. Yeah, he hasn't started up very well, kind of make that clear. But he's also a guy I'm going to pay attention to. If I start to get a better price on him, and he has the right horse, the right style of horse that fits him, I'm certainly going to look to play him. And then, again, I want to be fair here and show, a lot of the good stuff you can pull out of Raceland. I'm not saying this is bad, but this is, again, a stat that shows you solid winners and positive ROIs are very good. Stats that show you big negatives are also very good, right? I mean, the personal models that I run, and I think it was John Gasper I was talking to. One of the best things about the models I have is it tells me who not to bet. Like that's been over the last 15 years I've been doing this in my database. I can eliminate horses without even thinking. Like that helps me shrink the field down and concentrate a bit better. So the second one here, the Del Mar True Odds is their AI component. When they give a horse so far 50% chance or better to win. So there's been 14 runners that they've given a 50% or more chance. So basically more than a coin flip. None of them have won, right? So only 28% of them are hitting the board. So again, it's something you may want to look a little bit differently from that, or kind of let that bake a little bit and see how that plays out. But again, both on the positive and negative side, sometimes AI gets it right. As I know, even from my day job, AI gets it wrong a lot. So those types of runners have not done well, Pete, when it looks at the true odds.
Negative correlation so far. But I'll say this about both these stats. Whereas the first 4 we talked about are things I'm probably going to look at, and I'm going to be pointing in the direction of the stat continuing a little bit longer. These are 2 things I'd be looking at that just has to regress to the mean. I mean, especially somebody like Rispoli, the great old expression. You hear it in horse racing in England. I learned it from soccer, though, the idea that form is fickle and class is permanent. I mean, he's got to start winning. And certainly it just doesn't make any sense that this AI model could be that off to be telling you horses have or should be odds on and are losing. But it is fascinating. And also, it doesn't impugn any of the rest of the data you're getting out of Racelands either. The true odds, that's just one component in the impressive grab bag of handicapping tools you get when you check out Racelands. Go to equibase.com, navigate to that Racelands tab, check out any promotions they have going on, especially that race to the NHC. Matt, you did so well here. I've enjoyed our show so much. We're going to bother you to do some handicapping before the summer's over, if I can twist your arm a little further.
Absolutely. That's what I'm doing anyway. So I'm here for it. And looking for a nice close to Saratoga as we get into the thick of August, and Del Mar as well. So a lot of good racing still yet to come.
Maybe we'll do a Kentucky Downs angle show. Is that someplace that you get involved, or is it too head scratching for you?
You probably want to pass on that one for me, Pete. But who knows? Maybe I can come up with something interesting. And again, that's where data helps me, right? Especially a lot of the overseas markets that I've gotten into over the last few years, actually pretty deeply the last few years. It's been rooted in the data, right? So it helps me kind of guide me to markets that I think I can be competitive in. And then I start to bring in my own stuff and kind of build from there. So no, certainly always looking to take a look at a market, especially the ones that I don't do well in, see if I can find some signal and give us all some ideas.
Thanks to everybody tuning in, especially if you stuck with us this far. Make sure, if you stayed till the end of this video, you really need to be subscribed to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. Loads of exclusive content. Also, check us out in the Money Players podcast, wherever you get your pods. For Matt, I'm PTF. Thanks again to our friends at Racelens. We will be back with more YouTube exclusive content very soon on the In the Money Media YouTube channel.